And here's to the beginning.
I'll drink to that.
Why, Johnny Ringo.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can change it at any time.
I'm your huckleberry.
An outlaw loose and running came the whisper from each lip, and he's here to do some business with the big iron on his hip.
Incoming the Rambling Podcast, with your hosts, Conway Stoney and Stoney Robbins.
Howdy, hey, cowpokes, and welcome back to another episode of the Ramblin' Podcast. I'm your host, Conway Stoney. Joined with me is...
Stoney Robbins.
And he's back. Back again.
Yay.
Got to do a solo episode, and then we didn't have an episode for Turkey Week or whatever, so you guys get to enjoy the Thanksgiving episode. Last one Stoney and I did together was the traveling episode. He told some really weird stories and some shitty stories.
Yeah, I've
today-
traveled very shitty throughout my life.
Very shitty. Always shit everywhere.
Yeah, just go ahead and put a nice little schmear poop on there for me.
So today we're going to be doing a research episode. These are honestly Stoney's favorites because all he has to do is read. And sometimes even that's a little hard for both of us because we fuck up. So like I said, every time we do this, I wish you guys could hear the unedited version because it's literally just getting a couple sentences out and then going fuck and then restarting the sentence because you said one word very weird or
Yes.
just or you pronounce something wrong or you have to Google something because you're like I fucking don't know how to pronounce that or
Very correct.
you just are an idiot and don't know how to speak. You know that it just happens so often
Yes.
to us. And that's why I have a love-hate relationship with it. I think it's more editing when we do video episodes.
But they sound
than when
so eloquent whenever we do these research ones sometimes.
when we do, it's more editing when we do video episodes. It's more editing when we do research episodes because of the amount of times we'll like have to stop.
Fuck
and
up.
yeah,
Because we're not just going off the top of the head and hoping for the
ones,
best.
the ones that are kind of just like whatever is pretty nice. And then when we don't want to talk about something, we'll like be like, hey, cut that out.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like a sidebar and then we'll say, all right, action back again. You know, it has a little bit more flow when we're doing it more like naturally without a script, but it just sounds better when we have our script for the reason.
And I know we don't like to typically date when these episodes are recorded or come out, but I'm gonna do that right now just because Spotify Rap dropped today.
Nice.
I have some banging tunes
Well,
playing
hey,
the entire
Aaron,
time we're recording.
we're gonna we'll talk about our Spotify Wraps in a couple episodes. We're doing a whole recap of 2023.
Okay.
So you'll be able to tell your Spotify Wraps and everything like that. So we're actually gonna save that, Stoney. I forget Stoney doesn't really know the schedule. I just say, hey, this is the episode we're doing, and then he like slugs his way. Yeah, he slugs his way to his chair and he goes, "Ugh, I guess we'll do it now." And then he starts talking and has a good time every time. You have a great time every time we do episodes like this.
Sure.
This one, and speaking of, this is one of your favorite topics to talk about.
It's the best conspiracy. It's the best conspiracy theory.
I won't say the best, but I'll say it's up
It's
there.
one of the best ones.
So today we are going to be talking about the hollow moon theory. This one is going to be specifically talking about the hollow moon. We will do a whole hollow earth theory eventually as well. So we always try to pair research topics if they have something that goes along with it. Don't worry, there will be an episode about that in the future.
Hollow Earth theory is cool, only if you're a fan of Jules Verne.
I just love that I asked Stoney, I said, hey, would you rather do the hollow moon theory first or the hollow earth theory? And without hesitation, you went moon. You were so excited.
There's a reason why, and we'll get to it later on in this episode, but I think hollow moon theory is funnier. Like, as dumb as it sounds, like that's why I like a lot of conspiracy theories because they're just comical to me.
Yeah,
they're just so out there. Like the fucking hollow moon theory.
Don't go into it. Yeah.
All the different variations of it are so. All of them are out of this world. Haha.
So, get it? Haha. But so with doing any of these research topics, especially when they're actual research topics, we do a lot of real, focus. When it comes to conspiracy theories, I did, however, a lot of research. We do have a lot of sources But also it is a conspiracy theory, so you have to take a lot of it with a grain of salt. However, things that are coming from the kind of debunking
From
it,
NASA.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like things that are actual science based on it, like not just novels or authors or like concepts, things like that. Which, like I said, there'll be a lot of. I'll explain in the sources. Take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, there is a lot of sources. It's just not ever. It's a theory, so it's not proven yet. With any theory, there's always facts and you know fiction with it. So you just got to be careful with. Don't be like, oh my god, I heard Stoney and Conway talk about the hollow moon theory, and they're 100% right because it's true. It's real. Um,
The
I
moon is
heard it
owned by
from them.
Nazis.
Yeah, don't go into that. So also what you're talking about, Stoney, is there's a lot of different. There wasn't really a lot of different versions. There's all one version that's all together. After my like hours of research with it, it's all the same thing.
Yes.
Just because you keep saying, oh, there's like multiple no, it's like all the same variation, just done by different people. That's it.
Oh, so they're all in relatively agreement of what it
Yes.
is. It's
Yes.
just who owns it.
Yes, that's kind of like
Who
who
who came up
talks
with it
about it.
first?
Well, no, who talks about it.
Yeah.
Or
Well, we know who talks about it, the same people that gave meth to their soldiers.
well, hang on. So
Oh,
today's
sorry, not meth, Pervitin. My bad.
okay. So today's sources. This is gonna be a little long one, but I want to make sure we give credit to everything because we did. This is a lot of going based on a lot of these things.
Crazy people.
Not necessarily. I just want to
Our
make sure I give
sources
credit.
are conspiracy theorists.
Sony, okay. No, not necessarily. So our sources today are quite lengthy. I want to make sure we give credit to everything that we used. So we have Can the Moon Be Hollow, a book by Axel Batista. The Women of Apollo by Robin Friend. The Armagh Observatory and Planetarium. Spaceship Moon and Soviet Politics by Jason Clovido. The Engineered Moon Conspiracy by Brian Dunning from the Skeptoid podcast, episode 776. Is the Moon the Creation of Intelligence by Michael Vassin. Our Mysterious Spaceship by Don Wilson. The NASA Lunar Science Institute. Jerome Hamilton Buckley of Harvard University Press. Dr. Karen Masters from Cornell University. The Soviet Academy of Sciences. And the NASA research team. That is a lot of sources broken out by title and author and just research groups and everything like that. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Stoney will take it away for you to get into this hollow moon theory.
The moon is one of the biggest mysteries of ancient and modern societies. There are endless theories concerning the moon, ranging from where the moon came from to how it was formed. Some scientists claim that the Earth's only natural satellite came to be because of the gravitational pull of the Earth millions of years ago. Perhaps the moon was like any other asteroid and had drifted a bit too close to the Earth and is now eternally stuck, revolving around us. Other scientists believe the moon was formed from a collision of an asteroid to the Earth. Some believe the moon is a chunk of Earth that somehow blew off. This prevailing theory is called the giant impact theory, in which a Mars-sized asteroid collided with the Earth and some of the debris accumulated into what we now know today as the moon. The actual composition of the moon's mantle is very similar to the Earth's mantle, which leads most to believe that the two were once one floating piece of rock. Prior to 1969, no human had ever set foot on the surface of the moon. The US alone has 6 successful moon landings under its belt, with numerous unsuccessful attempts. One of the most infamous missions was Apollo 13, which would have been the 7th mission to the moon if not for the breached oxygen tank causing the astronauts to return home. Fun fact, Jack Black's own mother, Judith Love Cohen, helped create the abort guidance system which rescued the Apollo 13 astronauts. She was an aerospace engineer and worked as an electrical engineer on the Minuteman missile, the Science Ground Station for the Hubble Space Telescope, the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite, and of course, the Apollo space program. Our lone satellite has been the source of many questions, hypotheses, and conspiracy theories over the decades. Conspiracy theories are often ways for people to rationalize things that they don't understand or things that they don't have any information on. They often stem from government actions or unexplained phenomena, although some conspiracies are created to deviate from the accepted truth of certain situations.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
Oh, fuck.
The term usually has a negative connotation, with most theories being written off automatically as outlandish, although in recent years, the term conspiracy theory has shifted to mean a simple narrative that can or could possibly explain certain phenomena. Hollow moon theory stems from hollow earth theory, which we will do an entire episode about soon and is a much bigger rabbit hole than one might think. The hollow moon and the closely related spaceship moon are pseudoscientific hypotheses that propose that the Earth's moon is either wholly hollow or otherwise contains a substantial interior space.
What a fucking mouthful of a sentence.
Yep, you're telling me.
I also think pseudoscientific is also a giant tongue twister in itself. And we have to say it like 3 billion times during this episode. Love that for us.
No scientific evidence exists to support the idea. Seismic observations and other data collected since spacecraft began to orbit or land on the moon indicate that it has a thin crust, extensive mantle, and small, dense core, although overall it is much less dense than Earth. The hollow moon hypothesis is a suggestion that the moon is hollow, usually as a product of an alien civilization.
Damn right.
It is often called the spaceship moon hypothesis and often corresponds with beliefs in UFOs or ancient astronauts. The suggestion of a hollow moon first appeared in science fiction when H.G. Wells wrote about the hollow moon in his 1901 book, The First Men in the Moon. The concept of hollow planets was not new. The first discussion of a hollow Earth was by scientist Edmund Halley in 1692. Wells borrowed from earlier fictional works that described a hollow Earth, such as the 1741 novel Niels Klim's Underground Travels by Ludwig Holberg. Both hollow moon and hollow Earth are now considered to be fringe theories or conspiracy theories. The concept of the moon as a spaceship is often mentioned as one of David Icke's beliefs.
I find it also insane that 300 years ago they were having the debates of the planet that they live on, even though they don't really they don't really know it's a planet-ish, is hollow. And it's also just, it's mind-blowing because they didn't know shit about dick. They had
Well,
no...
yeah, they didn't even know if we were at the center of the universe or not. They kept trying to say we're the center of the universe, but
It's just
that's not true.
mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, but that back then they also were like, this thing below us is hollow. There's nothing inside of it. And then hundreds years later, they're also like, oh no, there's magma and lava that flows in.
Magma.
And it's just like, it is mind-blowing because you think, what is it going to be 300 years from now? Are they going to think we're fucking just idiots? We're just absolutely wrong. Well, technically, if mankind gets to
I
300
mean,
years from
let's
now,
be
you know what I
realistic.
mean?
We already think we're idiots and
Yeah,
we're alive
yeah,
right
true.
now. So there's no telling what future generations are going to think. Because you think
300
back on
years
some of
from
the
now,
stuff that they
Jesus.
did, in the medieval time, we're like, well, that's just fucking dumb. Like, oh, you have a cold. How about some leeches? That'll
but
help it.
but at that time it was, wow, you're such a science genius. You must know
Yeah.
everything.
You're an
And
astronomer. You clearly know medicine.
it's just so funny to me that they thought because they didn't have the technology to dig very deep into the earth, but they also had the concept of like, no, we're just on this like outer ball thing, but we don't even know it's really like
Well, okay,
ball.
so yes
It's
and
just weird. We can, like I said, we could get into a whole thing about
no, no,
flat
no.
earth and
I
round
just
earth
think
and
it's
shit like
it's
that.
not even about flat Earth or anything like that. I just think it's funny because like even today, it's still completely a theory about
Yes.
like crust core, mantle core.
'Cause we can only go down
Wait,
so far before
I said
shit.
core twice. Whatever.
Yeah, you can only go down
You
so
know what I
far
mean?
without
Because we can only go like 10 miles into the ground before the pressure is so immense that we physically cannot get deeper.
It's the same thing with the episodes where we did what's in the outer space episode, and then where we did what's below the ocean. It's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, we don't know what's down there. It could be a hollow Earth for all we know.
Y'all go check out those episodes. We talk about space in one, and then we talk about below the ocean and another. And we get into the theory too of like we only know how far we can get into the ocean because of our technology. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with inside the earth. We can only drill so far before shit literally
It's
just
so
dissipates.
hot
It
and there's
melts.
so
Yeah,
much there's
it
so much
evaporates.
pressure that it basically just it's good, it's good, it's good, it's gone.
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't exist anymore.
yeah.
And it's crazy because not only are we using, let's just say diamond bits, for example. That is a earth-made rock, right? We are using this hard
It's
rock on some other
technically
rock, you know? Like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? You're using
it's an earth invention, I guess you could say,
yeah.
of, like, the idea of using, like, the hardest substance we can find on our
Yes,
planet.
on that, and then
Yeah.
we take all these other
Well, not
metals
the
and
hardest, but one of the
yes,
hardest,
yeah, you know what I mean? And then we take all the metals and put them together too to create this thing to be able to drill, but then again, it's still not hard enough or be able to, sustain the heat when it gets to a certain point. Like, it's so weird. But then in itself, it is also very, very, very weird when you think about it that below us right now is just a melting pit of nothing.
Yep.
Which is the whole concept of, like, I'm sure people came up with the heaven and hell shit
That's
too, you
core
know, like,
theory, like, having a
Jesus,
core on the
like
center of the earth, you've got something usually like a magma of some kind. Basically, I think it's something along the lines of, like, the reason the planet spins is because it gets pulled by gravity in a certain way, which causes I don't know the whole thing, and
Stoney's not a scientist or
I am
anything.
no way, shape, or form a scientist,
Didn't take any college science classes, so
yeah, no,
I'll let you just talk, and I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, that's wrong."
yeah,
I'll
we're
just let
just
you be there.
that's yeah, I don't know, something
Anyways,
with
you're not
the way
it's your
gravity pulls is what makes the magma spin,
the
which
way the
causes
wind
our
blows.
yeah, it's like why the whole thing moves.
Jesus.
It's why
But anyways,
planets
yeah,
move.
it's quite insane, but we're actually gonna get into that, so, we'll actually, give you some actual,
Wanna know one thing that I do find very wild
what?
is because human civilization has been living on this rock for, eons, um, if we had, say, a 500 day, like, year cycle,
Instead of 365 days?
instead of 365, we would die.
Or 366?
Yes. Well, yeah, it's the weirdest thing, like, if we were to go to, like, say, 450 or, like, if you add a
If
certain
it would
amount of
slow
days,
down or speed
it would
up.
basically, like, just kill all of us because winter would be longer, summer would be longer, like, everything would be longer, so there definitely is parts of the world that would just not exist
And
anymore.
do any of us wanna be on this planet longer?
No. No.
Ever
I don't wanna be
all
on
the
this planet anymore, what do you mean?
don't say that. The entire audience just goes, "No."
That's a Futurama reference.
Oh,
That's why I made
okay,
that.
okay. I was like, "Don't say
I
that."
don't wanna live on this planet anymore.
Yeah, the Futurama. You gotta say Futurama reference, you can't just say
No, I
that.
don't have to. They should know, damn it.
No. No. Study
All right,
city
so why don't you
podcast ever.
tell me a little bit more about this hollow moon?
Okay. So the hollow moon theory asks the question, what's inside the moon? Some claim that the moon has a thin, hard crust and then is totally hollow in the middle, with dead air and no gravity. Others claim that the moon was originally a spaceship that got caught in Earth's orbit. Most believers, when faced with scientists and non believers, like to state that we have never drilled directly into the moon through to the center, or rather, as far as we can go. The fact that the moon is less dense than the Earth is advanced by conspiracy theorists as support for claims of a hollow moon. The moon's mean density is 3.3 grams per cubic centimeter, whereas the Earth's is 5.5 grams per cubic centimeter. Mainstream science argues this difference is due to the fact that the Earth's upper mantle and crust are less dense than its heavy iron core. Because the children earn for the mines. Yearn for the mines.
Children earn for the mines? Actually, no, that is incorrect.
Yearn for the mines.
The
My bad.
children's earn money for whoever owns the mine, but not the mine itself.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to make a RuneScape reference when I said the iron core.
That's no, just no. No in
No,
so many ways.
that's not
Iron ore.
iron ore.
Yeah,
Well,
like
duh. I meant like there's just a heavy iron core, so I'm surprised Never mind. Never mind.
You're speaking on things you know nothing about, child.
I know nothing about RuneScape, okay?
Exactly. You stay in your lane.
I'm sorry. Between 1969 and 1977, multiple instruments called seismometers were installed on the surface of the moon, allowing astronauts and scientists to calculate and measure moonquakes. Hey, yo.
Moonquake.
Sounds like
It's the second cousin of a moon pie. A moonquake.
I was gonna say it sounds like some sort of a weed strand, because you know those moon rocks?
Bro.
Moonquake sounds
Moonquake moon rocks. Shit'll have you see in the fifth dimension, son.
Jesus Christ. So moonquakes, which are the moon equivalent to earthquakes, if you guys didn't put that together.
No.
What would technically pause for a minute before we get into that? What the fuck would that feel like? Because not
The
only
same thing.
Oh,
It's
never mind.
the-
Hang on.
it's
Never
the-
mind. I'm gonna get into it. I'm speaking ahead. Hang on.
It would be the same thing.
Hang on. There are 4 different types of moonquakes, ranging from mere to severe tremors. This range also included surface level or deep crust quakes. On November 20th, 1969, Apollo 12 deliberately crashed the ascent stage of its lunar modular onto the moon's surface. NASA reported that the moon rang like a bell for almost an hour, leading to the arguments that it must be hollow like a bell. Lunar seismology experiments since then have shown that the lunar body has shallow moonquakes that act differently from quakes on Earth due to the differences in texture, type, and density of the planetary strata. But there is no evidence of any large empty space inside the body. Astronauts would report that the ground underfoot would shake and there would be an indistinguishable ringing in both the ears of those on the surface, but also over any communication devices such as walkies or radios. What do you think about that? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is pretty weird.
Does that I mean, like I said, I know not much about earthquakes, but also living in a place where we know
Actually, real quick.
Can you hear earthquakes over devices of radios and walkies like that? I mean, I know we can physically hear when
I don't know
shaking,
because like
but
I mean I don't know if they transfer like kind of like how a seismograph picks it up.
some fucking geographer right now is screaming at us. Listening.
Geographer.
Geologist.
I was like, that's the person who makes maps.
Geologist. My bad.
Geography is the study of places.
Yes, I know. Hang on. Some geologist is getting really angry at us and just screaming, "It's this, you idiots!" Yes, and I know obviously we have the basically headquarters of earthquake studies and things like that here in the state. I just don't know if they pick shit up like that on the radios and walkies like they did on the moon. Like, you know what I mean? If it's a different low to pick up or too high to pick up.
No. The reason why they would have picked it up on the moon is because space is in a vacuum.
Yes,
So
true.
so the sound of something would pick up because
That
there's
is
nothing
true.
around.
That is true. Something like that. Okay, anyways. So I just find that crazy that it would the bell ringing, and that's kind of where they thought maybe it might be hollow because bells.
Well, it's that, and
Mhm.
then like
That's
the
kinda crazy.
people saying like the thuds when stuff
Yeah.
gets hit by the moon,
Yep.
like they can
Yep.
pick it up on satellites and stuff, and because
Yep.
you know they can hear in space now somehow. I really don't understand that yet, but like remember when the sound of a black hole came out and we were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. The
Just
sounds of
yeah,
planets and shit like that. They have Spotify
yeah,
for that.
yeah, and it's like the weirdest fucking thing, like
12
the
hours
noises
of
planets make.
Jupiter.
Yeah, it's just like these whines and click.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just to me sounds like fucking whales like singing.
Yeah.
So I mean that and with the moon quakes, and then anytime a asteroid hits the moon, they say like
Yeah,
it makes like a hollow thud
those
sound, and
sounds,
so
yeah.
that's why they think it's hollow.
Well, we haven't dug, so we don't know either, so it
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
great.
we've never gotten moon drills. When are we getting moon drills, Elon? You said we'd have a colony by 2025, and here we
On
are,
Mars.
2 years from now, and we still ain't got shit. We still
We
haven't even
ain't
gone
drilling the
back to the
moon.
moon.
Yeah.
We haven't even landed a person on Mars yet. Yet
Okay.
you want to build a colony.
The less convincing piece of evidence, density. relies on the fact that the moon is lighter than the Earth. If we believe the theory that the moon was created as a result of an impact with Earth, then the two would surely have the same density. Right? That's
One
no,
would think.
that's actual. That's science. Yeah, that would be right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, one would think if that is how it happened, it would be the exact same. But I don't know if that is necessarily the way you're thinking about it. And the only reason I say that is because if something hit the Earth and a chunk broke off, which would make the moon, right? It would be a very rough chunk. Like, it would literally look like the top of a Jello and then the inside all cragged and jagged, right?
In 1970, and I'm going to absolutely butcher these names, so don't mind me.
Oh
No.
yeah, I just saw the other ones in there. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have a hard time with this, guys. All right. Anyways, Mikhail Vasin and Alexander Sherbakov of the Soviet Academy of Sciences advanced a hypothesis that the moon is a spaceship created by unknown beings.
Ancient astronauts.
The authors reference early speculation by astrophysicist.
Physicist.
Hang on. The authors reference earlier speculation by astrophysicist Isif Shavatsky, who suggested that the Martian moon Phobos was an artificial satellite and hollow. This has since been shown not to be the case. It probably comes as no great surprise that the early advocacy for this idea came from the former Soviet Union, a place where pseudoscientific ideas have found warm receptions not only among the fringe, but also in the legitimate scientific community.
Which is 100% true. Like, the things that the Soviet scientists were studying and
Oh, the whole
teaching.
I literally just rewatched the Men Who Stare at Goats movie the other day.
Yeah.
And I want to do a whole episode about that as well. So that's gonna be in the future. But
Oh,
yeah,
how
it's intense.
LSD gives psychic powers?
No, not LSD, but how you can just well, never mind. Just that's way off.
I was like, that's part of it.
But that's not right. No. So two members of the Soviet Academy of Sciences, Vasan and Shirkabov,
Shirt kebab. Alexander Shirt kebab.
Shirkabov, he published an article in the mass market consumer publication Sputnik. In it, they made a few observations about the moon. Quote, our hypothesis. The moon is an artificial Earth satellite put into orbit around the Earth by some intelligent beings unknown to ourselves. We refuse to engage in speculation about who exactly staged this unique experiment, which only a highly developed civilization was capable of. If you are going to launch an artificial Sputnik, then it is advisable to make it hollow. What we have here is a very ancient spaceship, the interior of which was filled with fuel for the engines, materials, and appliances for repair work, navigation, instruments, observation equipment, and all manner of machinery. In other words, everything necessary to enable this Carvel of the universe to serve as a kind of Noah's Ark of intelligence. Perhaps even as a home of a whole civilization to a prolonged, which is thousands of millions of years, existence, and a long wanderings through space, thousands of millions of miles. End quote.
So,
Higher hypothesis.
so I read that whole thing with the accent while you were reading it, and I butchered the fuck out of it. Because I was like, can I actually do this? And I was like, try doing it. And it started out so good. And then like about halfway through the accent like kind of it went in and out. And I was like, yeah, see, that's why I don't do that.
I was trying to get Stoney to read this in an entire Russian accent for me because I could
The moon is an artificial.
Artificial.
See, it's hard to do it with some of these words because a lot of these words are a lot harder to pronounce with an accent.
Artificial. Yeah, F's or V's. And yeah, I tried to get him to do a Russian accent for you guys, but yeah, that just didn't work out. So anyways, they also cited a 1959 claim by another Soviet scientist, Isif Shavatsky, who had made the same arguments for Mars moon Phobos, which we talked about earlier. Soviet politics and science had always been closely intertwined, and their work came at a time when this tide was shifting away from belief in ancient aliens, perhaps in response to the West's newfound love for the subject driven by authors like Eric von Däniken. Thus was their work relegated to the consumer magazine, and thus it was essentially ignored by the scientific community. Vossen and Shirt Kebab.
And sure,
His thesis was that
Kabakov.
Shopakov. Um, his thesis was that the moon is a hollowed out planetoid creature by unknown beings with technology far superior to any on Earth. That was like the main kind of, that's what they're going with. Huge machines would have been used to melt rock and form large cavities within the moon, with the resulting molten lava spewing out onto the moon's surface. If we think that the moon is just like the Earth, right?
Oh yeah, spill that molten core.
The moon would therefore consist of a Hulk in a
Hulk.
yeah.
The hole.
I know. Hang on. The moon would therefore consist of a hole-like inner shell and an outer shell made from metallic rocky slag.
That was
Which
my name
we
in high school.
metallic rocky slag. Which we do know now, however, the moon is very, very metallic. After all the new research that has came out specifically this year, we now know that the moon is very metallic.
Future.
For reasons unknown, the spaceship moon was then placed into orbit around the Earth. Their hypothesis relies heavily on the suggestion that the large lunar craters, generally assumed to be formed from meteor impact, are generally too shallow and have flat or even convex bottoms. Small craters have a depth proportional to their diameter, but larger craters are not deeper. It is hypothesized that small meteors are making a cup shaped depression in the rocky surface of the moon, while the larger meteors are drilling through a 5-mile thick rocky layer and hitting a high tensile hole underneath. There's a massive difference. That's quite intense. Additionally, the authors note that the surface material of the moon is substantially composed of different elements: chromium, titanium, and zirconium from the surface of the Earth. They also note that some moon rocks are older than the oldest rocks on Earth. They postulate that the moon comprises a rocky outer layer a few miles thick, covering a strong hole, perhaps 20 miles thick, and beneath that there is a void, possibly containing an atmosphere. In 1975, Don Wilson published Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon, in which he compiled what he considered supporting facts for this hypothesis from the Soviet Union. In 1976, George H. Leonard published Someone Else is on the Moon, in which he reprinted numerous NASA photographs of the lunar surface and suggested that the large-scale machinery was visible in these pictures. And with great disappointment, readers have genuinely not been able to find these artifacts. They can't fucking see it in these pictures. So, go figure, right? Skeptical author Jason Colavito points out that all their evidence is circumstantial, and that in 1960s, the atheistic Soviet Union promoted the ancient astronaut concept in an attempt to undermine the West's faith and religion, which was a very common theme during that time as well.
So with everything we're talking about now, most of the actual hollow theories come specifically out of the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
That's
and
not the one I'm technically the most excited about when it comes to moon related conspiracy theories, because like there's a bunch of them. My
because
favorite one.
time out. Their hypothesis was in 1959, so this was before what you're about to talk, or after what you're about to talk about.
Yes, after, but kind of during. It's the weirdest thing because like basically the whole theory is that the moon is actually a Nazi space base.
That's the other theory that I didn't.
Yeah, it's
This is
that
mainly
it's
that.
on the dark side of the moon, and that's where Hitler is. And it's one of my favorite theories
So
because it's
dumb.
so insane to think about. But when you start piecing together like what's involved with it, I mean, sure, kind of, you could might be able to construe that, but like
That's so dumb.
so, Nazi Germany fell in the 40s and then was broken up between the Soviet Union and the quote unquote the Allied powers. So it's like one side went to Russia, one side went to American controlled, but it was like controlled by all the Allied powers
And there's
together.
also the theory that Hitler never died and he just went to
Yeah, the
Brazil,
theory
right?
is like he didn't actually die. That was a body double they found.
And he's just
Um
lived in Brazil the rest
and he basically dipped, got the hell out of the country when he saw that the war was basically lost. Um and they flew to South America, lived down there, took a bunch of Nazi scientists with him, and then
Which fun fact is
basically
why there is so much German
oh, dude,
ancestry in South America.
in
Yeah.
Argentina,
Yep.
you can fly in a helicopter overhead, and there is so much Nazi stuff, like pools with giant swastikas in
Yeah,
them, like it's
crazy.
insane.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, so the theory was like that Hitler didn't die as a body double.
Yeah, he didn't die. They moved to South America, and then the propulsion system, like jet technology, came from the Nazis. Like that's not a secret at all. NASA was formed by Nazis
Yeah.
because America just started snatching them up
And
as
then
soon
they
as World
switched
War
it
II was
to
over.
yeah.
And yeah, the ones that didn't get caught got sent to South America. They developed everything, and then the Nazis flew to the moon, created their own space base. None of this is actually really hypothetical in my mind,
This is all
just
yeah.
because it's so much technology they would have had to have, and we're talking about the 1940s.
Yeah, they didn't have shit. But yeah, so
They just discovered jet
the
propulsion. I don't
theory
think they got
before
rockets down yet.
the theory before the Soviets started pushing the moon is hollow theory, to, like I said, to kind of undermine our faith, the West faith, right? And Jesus and all that shit.
Yeah, because they were just so atheist.
They first the main theory about the moon was the dark side of the moon, where it's a Nazi base. That's what the moon is. Kind of where the death, and that kind of is where the Star Wars Death Star came about. Fun fact: this is actually like kind of where George Lucas and the whole crew got the idea of making the Death Star a moon looking thing, and inside of it is the entire spaceship, right? That's kind of this theory, the uh, Soviet Union kind of theory, this hollow moon theory is
Spaceship moon
yeah, the
theory.
spaceship moon theory is where they got the idea to use Darth Vader since he was the villain and give him the spaceship moon. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
All because of two crazy Russians.
One can always trust in today's internet conspiracy theory community to breathe new life into just about any old claim, so long as it's contemptuous of any standard model of science. The claims made today, as elucidated in one heavily linked and shared article on the website Ancient Code, include: the moon has unexpected elements that it shouldn't have. The moon does not have a solid core. The moon is older than the Earth, and that the moon's orbit is perfectly circular. All of these statements are completely false, so let's talk about it. The notion that the early Earth may have had enormous tides rushing across its surface at supersonic speeds multiple times a day, back when the moon was much closer and orbited much faster. Gaia and Gaia had been in the same orbit around the sun and had accreted from the same material in the early solar system. Thus, they consisted of about the same minerals in about the same proportions. When they collided, the bulk of the combined mass stayed together and became the Earth, while the rest was rejected. Nope.
Ejected. Try again.
When they collided, the bulk of the combined mass stayed together and became the Earth, while the rest was ejected outward and accreted into the moon. Thus, the Earth and Moon are a pretty good mix of most of the same elements. Both Theia and Gaia had most of the heavier elements deeper inside and their lighter elements further towards the surface, and most of the ejecta from the collision consisted of these lighter elements. The Earth got most of the heavier core elements, while the Moon is made up of mostly of the lighter ejecta. Today, we have pretty accurate measurements of both. The other The other great way we can tell whether the moon is hollow or not is by measuring its momentum and rotational inertia. If you are holding a heavy metal globe, you can feel its moment of inertia by trying to rotate it back and forth quickly. If it's harder to do, it means a lot of the mass is out at its surface. If it required, if required a medium, what?
If it just fucked her up.
Oh,
Come on.
okay. If it required a medium effort, it would mean the mass is evenly distributed, as if it's a solid body. If the moon were solid with a heavy core, it would have a lower rotational inertia. But if it were a hollow spaceship with a thick outer shell, it would have a higher inertia even if it had the same exact mass. In 1998, the United States launched a lunar rover to host the Doppler gravity experiment, the first polar low altitude mapping of the lunar gravitational field. Data acquired by prospector DGE constituted the first operational gravity map of the moon. The purpose of the DGE lunar probe was to learn about the mass distribution on the surface and interior of the moon. This is accomplished by measuring the Doppler shift as an S-band tracking signal reaches Earth, which can be converted to spacecraft acceleration. The acceleration can be processed to obtain an estimate of the moon's gravitational field. Estimating the surface of the interior mass distribution provides information about the moon's crust, lithosphere, and internal structure.
So, what these measurements have told us is that the moon's core is dense and small, and that the rest of the moon is of a pretty uniform density. It is absolutely, positively not hollow and has its mass evenly distributed throughout it, but for a small, heaviest bits at its core. And this is math, not a guess or an assumption. So, to sum all this up, this entire episode, the moon is not hollow. And if it was engineered by some advanced alien race, what they constructed matches exactly the materials and structure that we'd expect to find if the moon had formed naturally as given in the standard model. And it was placed into exactly the right orbit that we would expect if that formation had taken place when we believed it did. Although there is much up in the air, the hollow moon theory is an interesting theory to keep in the back of one's head when looking up at night.
Ooh.
I do not believe in the hollow moon theory as much as I believe in the hollow earth theory.
Yeah, same.
I
I
think
like Hollow Earth theory
I
better.
I think the moon theory is funny. I think it's more funny the fact that it's like they think it's a spaceship. Like I think that
Ancient astronauts.
yeah, I think that is hilarious. But I believe way more into the hollow earth theory that there's something in the middle of the earth
Oh
or
yeah,
something
I
lost.
like the Jules Verne, like Journey to the
Journey
Center
to
of
the
the
center of
Earth
the earth type
version.
shit.
Like
Yeah,
there's an
yeah, yeah,
entire
yeah.
another planet inside of our planet.
Yeah, it's I love the theory. I think it's more extensive. I think there's a lot more into that. And with that being said, we'll end the episode here and we will continue. We'll
We'll do
just take a
Hollow Earth
moment here
next. We'll
and
just
we'll
do it next.
no, we're not gonna do it next, but we'll have a hollow earth theory entire episode, a bigger deep dive because it is way more uh extensive when it comes to like the quote unquote research or just the story and lore about it. But yeah, we'll pause there and you'll have to come back for the preceding episode that pairs with this one. But yeah, this theory is just a wild little. The Nazi spaceship thing is Stoney's favorite. So
See, space base.
the space base or the spaceship moon.
No, space base. Space
You
base.
just love it. You think it's funny.
I do think it's
It
funny.
makes
There's
you
a whole
giggle.
movie about it.
Yeah, it just makes you giggle. But yeah, thoughts on the episode? Just a weird little thing.
Not my favorite. I'll be
Yeah, not the
not my
favorite,
favorite research
but
episode.
but we hope
I
you
think we've
guys
had
got
better
a
ones.
giggle at it. And if you guys are Hollow Moon believers, well, more power to you because we just explained why it's not. We literally, with our science facts and our big brain knowledge, debunked.
Yep.
So, Sony,
Debunked.
where can all the conspiracy theorists find you?
They can find me at Stony Robbins or at Stony Robbins _. I think one of them's got a 0 for the O, but I don't know which one, so figure it out. What about you, Conway?
all the good conspiracy theorists, believers, skeptics can find me at conwaytitty.com. That is conwaytitty.com. Has all of our links there. We also do have an official website. It is theramblingpodcast.com. You can find all my links, all Stoney's links. You can find all the links for all of our episodes if you want to listen to it on a different platform or if you have no clue at all. Everything's there. All right.
And if watching's more your thing, you can always stop by the Twitch stream and watch us play games.
That very much so too. If you want more of the dynamic duo here, live and in your ear holes,
Live and in color.
yeah. Also, if you have any requests for topics, please feel free to DM us or email us. Any
Hit
topics
us up
you
in the
want us to
DMs
talk
on the
about?
Ramblin' Podcast
Yeah, you can
X
hit, like I said,
page.
you can hit
Because
us up.
you can't say Twitter page anymore. The X
Yeah,
page.
you can hit us up in the DMs or at the ramblinpodcast@gmail.com. And you can let us know what topics you want to listen to. I have a giant extensive list, broken down into sections of like we thought of and audience thought of. So we pick and choose what we feel like. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. 'Tis the holiday season starting, so we're gonna be starting our holiday themed episodes for the rest of the year. Can't believe the year's almost over. It's fucking insane. We're on chapter 12. The fuck?
Oh boy, we're getting real close to where I get to talk about big holiday.
Hey, that might be next week. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, chat.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
All right, you guys have a great whatever time of day you're listening to this. You could be working out, which is weird that people do that they listen to our podcast while they're like lifting. People do that. That's a thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do it. I get it.
Push. One more set. You got this. One more set.
If you're still
Anyways,
listening at the end of this rambling, then
congratulations.
the secret word is kaleidoscope.
It's kaleidoscope. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyways. Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay
Okay,
hydrated.
bye.
Stay
This
safe.
outro has been 2 minutes long.
I'm trying to say
Goodbye.
my little thing. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay hydrated. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Get the fuck out.